What do you get when a powerhouse band like Reclaim the Day teams up with the insanely talented Zana? No, this is not a riddle. You get a track that sounds like this. It's entitled Chokehold. Check this out. Wow, what a video. And look who I've got with me this evening. I got the entire Reclaim the Day crew. And hey, we've got Jermaine weighing in. He says, what's up?
Miss you, dude.
We are missing one person today, but he's with us in spirit.
Oh, it is so good to have all of you on. And man, I will tell you what, I am right now. That pumped me up, and that song sounds so good in my studio headphones. Those bass drops in there, epic. That's the best way that I can describe them. We got some more comments coming in. That's what I love about this. And Jermaine says,
I love that guy. I
chokehold.
love that guy.
He is an awesome, awesome dude. Becca, can you introduce us to everybody that's in the room tonight? I mean, we got a full house here.
Yeah. So we've got my husband, the bald guy, and Marcus.
Well, let's
He
go,
plays
bro.
lead guitar. And then we've got Logan, who plays bass. And then I'm the lead vocalist, Becca. And then we have one who's not here, which is our drummer, and his name is Tristan. I can't remember. He just wasn't able to make it tonight, but he definitely is here with Spirit. And but yeah, that's basically, there's just four of us, and we try our best to make up what we have as what we can. At least my husband tries to make us sound good with some tracks and whatnot,
Sometimes,
right?
yeah.
You guys sound awesome. And Jermaine, you answered the question. He's like, where is that awesome drummer of yours?
Yeah, he is somewhere. He just couldn't make it tonight. Yeah, I think he actually has a friend that came out of town that is visiting, so he is unable to make it with us. But like I said, he wishes everything the best for everything that's going on, and he loves everything that Lithos Sky is doing. And seen a couple of the interviews, and I think it's really, really, really dope. So.
Thank you very much. Well, you know what it means is we're just going to have to do it again sometime at a later date when you guys drop some new songs. And
Absolutely.
Yeah, Jermaine says, Logan, flip your hair. There you
go. Yeah.
I do it too, but I lost mine a while back. So.
Oh, yeah. Watching that video, it looked like it was so much fun to produce that. I mean, you're just going all out. It's intense, and you're throwing some demons down. Throw another demon on the Barbie there. And some judgment. It's awesome. But I have to ask the question: who played the swamp monster in that video?
My brother did, actually. He hates this nickname, but I call him the Jolly Green Giant because he's actually that tall. He is 6 foot. I want to say 6'4". So
all I know is everyone looks up to him.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and he doesn't like it if anybody's taller than him. It makes it uncomfortable. But he played the swamp monster in it's so funny because our chokehold T-shirts are actually based off of the swamp monster. So he's like, I'm on a shirt, guys, and it's hilarious that he's like. But it was really cool up until the point where we had to shoot the scene. Where I'm literally taking the chains and pulling him backwards because there were a couple of different takes where he actually fell on me. So that was wonderful having him do that. And then, that whole night was full of injuries.
You have to tell him the horse story. Every time we have to bring up the horse story.
I'll let you tell that horse story, or should I?
I wasn't there for it. I was gone.
Well, yeah, you guys had left at that point. So the guys, wimped out. They're like, I'm tired. So because we were just finishing up the storyline, so me and Z stayed past.
In my defense, I had done a lot of driving. Okay.
1:30 in the morning, and we were shooting. There was actually a couple horses or a few horses that were just walking around the property, and we had pizza for dinner. And I'm gonna say this: the video was meant to be more like a campy horror film, right? The property itself was almost scarier than the video.
True.
It was very interesting, to say the least. But I was shooting my scene on the dock, and if you've ever met Zana in real life, you will see how short she really is. And she'll probably give me a hard time for saying this, but it was funny because we were filming this, and our film crew and me were on the dock, and then you see these horses walk up to where the pizza was, and they were literally about to start eating the pizza, and you see this small little Z walking all the way over there, and she is like trying to like, no, babies, like go back, and like shoot the horses. This small little person against these big horses.
These
like,
were big horses too.
Yeah,
I think it was two of them, just like pale white. It was super creepy, especially like late at night.
Yeah, it was super funny, but like it was one of those.
Baby, no.
It sounds funny, but if you were there, it was like the most like hilarious thing ever. If you saw it with your own eyes, like I can still like. It's so funny.
I love the behind the scenes because that video is so intense. It's very realistic. It's not campy at all. It just really grabs my attention, and that does look like a creepy area. Yeah, and we have worked with Zana before. She was up here 2 years ago for Get Revelation Rock Fest, and she was a blast to work with. A lot of fun. In this song, it's just jam-packed, if I can use that phrase, jam-packed with deep lyrical content, where you're not just sugarcoating emotion with, the trite cliches that you hear in a lot of songs.
Yeah.
You actually describe the sensations, and that's what I love about the song. You describe the sensations with these emotions. What is it exactly you're singing about in the song and trying to portray in this video?
Well, the story is based off of Logan's. The song is based off of Logan's testimony. Yeah. Well, you're pointing that way, but he's like different.
Oh, it's different on my screen. Okay. Yeah. Whichever corner he's in, it's based off of him. So yeah.
Yeah. He's like for me on my screen, he's like the left of me. But I'll let kind of Logan explain his testimony a little bit and kind of see the background, and then explain a little bit about how Chokehold kind of coincides with that. So Logan, go ahead.
To Logan, yeah.
Yeah, like Becca said, like I kind of came up with the concept of the song. I didn't really. Oh, it's just me on the screen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But,
you got this,
bro.
Yeah. You're in the spotlight.
Oh yeah.
I did come up with a kind of concept behind the song, and I remember it was around a time when it was like shortly after Trey had sent like a little like demo idea of like this song, and I think the original demo you sent it just had drums in it, I think. And
originally it was just the drums, and then I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do with it, so I just made it into like a nasty breakdown instead.
And so around that time I was like, I'll just kind of like talk about some stuff, just kind of open up a little bit, just about me and my journey up to this point. And it's inspired by my kind of struggle with like social anxiety, and like just kind of always being hesitant on like talking about things and opening up about things and just stuff like that. Like I'm very much an introvert, and that's like usually like one of the first things that people notice about me. So that's what kind of inspired the song. Like shortly after I like kind of talked about all that and kind of shared all that, Becca was like, you know what, we want to write the song about your story, about your testimony and that struggle. And we collabed with obviously we got Zana on the song, which super awesome. She absolutely killed it. And so we worked with her and Andrew Stanton, and like writing and actually like putting that part of my story like into song lyrics, which it was a super fun process to go through.
Oh no, I think your audio cut out.
Yeah, I think your audio's out.
Let me do this. There we go. My audio cut out. So there we go. Am I back? You got my audio?
There we go.
There we go. Yeah, perfect. Okay. Yeah, my audio cut out. So I'm back. Look at that. I think that's what makes the song so powerful, is that it's based off of a real testimony. It's not just something that you're trying to conceptualize or just writing a song for the sake of writing a song. When I first heard the song and I saw the video, it reminded me of some experiences that I've had, not necessarily with social anxiety, but actually with sleep paralysis, which is something I've experienced and I believe is very demonically induced. Wow. We're getting some feedback tonight.
Oh no, sorry,
Yeah,
that's a lot of
that's-
people going by.
Yeah, we
Oh,
live on
okay.
a busy street, so I apologize if you hear anything.
That's okay. I thought it would sound like the swamp monster in my headphones.
You mentioned the demons, now they're coming. No,
I
I'm
know. It just comes out all over the place. But you know, the sleep paralysis, everything with the weighing down on the chest. I mean, hearing some of the lyrics of the song, it's I'm fighting just to breathe or speak out loud. The weight is breaking my back. I find myself sinking down. Was that something, sleep paralysis, something you were thinking about at all in this song, or did it bring that to your mind, or have any of you experienced
It wasn't really based off of sleep paralysis, so to speak. Like I said, it's very heavily based off of, Logan's testimony, but it also brings to light a lot of different things. Like, we face day to day, every day to day demons, and the thing is that, and I've had my fair amount of experiences with the demons. Okay, I'm not saying that I get into that stuff. That's not what I'm saying. But like, I think there are so many people out there that don't believe that demons and angels exist, and yet, and a lot of them are Christians. They're like, oh, they don't exist and everything. It's like, have you read your Bible? Like, but we've had our fair share. But the biggest thing behind the monster itself and the resemblance behind it, first and foremost, talking about speaking out, like in his, describing what kind of Logan's talking about with social anxiety. I think we've all kind of been there, to where like we don't want to ask for help. I've been there where I'm like, I can literally, you can ask my husband, I'm one of those people that I like to take the whole world on my shoulders and handle it all on my own. Or I stay silent about it, and the enemy, and we can even relate this to our faith. We stay silent because, especially with the world that we're in, it's like, oh, am I going to offend somebody? Oh, am I going to upset somebody? Right. The enemy wants us to stay silent. And so the swamp monster in kind of represents the demons and breaking the chains, because, when we talk about the chokehold in general, it has us, the demons have us in that chokehold, right? Mm-hmm. That we can't speak out. You feel it, you want to speak out, but you can't. So that's where the resemblance of the chains breaking. I'm going to fight this, and it's kind of one of those things where it's really interesting how things have kind of worked with that video versus real life, because I had a lot of experiences with that with Z. Even it's like that the texting conversation that I had in the video on the dock. That actually happened with me and her in real life at one point, because it was one of those days. I was actually coming back from dropping a friend off in Nashville, and I was so tired, and I was driving by myself going back to Indiana, that I was like, okay. And I've already had a long weekend because we were at a festival. We played a festival that weekend. So I stopped at a hotel in Kentucky, and I could just feel these, things just coming at me left and right. And I was like, I had texted her and I said, hey, like, I'm struggling. And then I got to, she texted me back, what's going on? And I never responded, because I'm like, all right, you know what? I'll just deal with it on my own. And then wake up in the morning, and then lo and behold, she calls me. And it's like, okay, you didn't respond. What's going on? Like, things like that actually happen, and it's very relatable to real life. It's kind of one of those things, and that's just with multiple people. So yeah, it's the monster itself is kind of like facing, it's a resemblance to anybody's demon out there that you're trying to face, as far as trying to break that chokehold, shatter that chokehold to what and you have the power through Jesus Christ to fight those demons, and break the chains. So hopefully that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense at all. And I was thinking today, I was kind of pondering these things as I was driving home from work about, okay, the sleep paralysis, the choking and everything like that, and then the real life social anxiety. And I was like, you know what? Maybe a lot of the anxiety that we feel is not necessarily all just us in our head, but there's an external force that's kind of triggering that.
I believe that fully, yeah.
Yeah. Because when you're asleep with the sleep paralysis, you're in a kind of a helpless situation because you're asleep,
Yeah.
but you're just more awake during the day. But I really think it's the same. That those demons trigger that, and we all have those demons that like to torment us, and that's why I like the end of the video where you put that thing, get the chains around its neck and toss that thing into the water, and it's gone. And that's what we're going to get to do in our glorified bodies when we meet Jesus. Is we're going to get to judge the angels, both the good ones and the bad ones, and throw some of the bad ones on the body.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, I am too. Yeah, there are a few of them that I can't wait to get rid of myself.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How did the collaboration with Zana come about? I mean, she is such an awesome person to work with.
Yeah. So actually, I'm going to try to make this as short as I can, but it was kind of funny because when we started, my husband and I, when we started Reclaim the Day, it was one of those things where I was like trying to convince him to be lead vocalist. I had already made up my mind because I've done the lead vocalist thing before and it didn't go well for me. It was kind of one of those things where I had, I was inexperienced at the time because it was when I first started. I've been doing music professionally for years now. And, but I didn't know what I was doing. So I had my producers, I had friends, I had people who were just like, yeah, your voice sucks. And so it's like, okay. So I was like, I don't want to go through that again. And I don't really think I'm the greatest singer. So I always knew that like I was a better screamer than I was a singer anyway. But I had, it was really funny because I was praying about it one day. And he was like, I didn't call you to sing for them. I called you to sing for me. And I was like, all right, but I'm taking vocal lessons. Shortly after, I actually found her post. She had just made a post about doing vocal lessons. I was like, okay, if that's not God, I don't know what it is. So I emailed her and I was like, hey, definitely interested in doing vocal lessons. And she got back with me, and then I ghosted her for a few months.
It's true. They're both terrible at responding to people and to each other. It's hilarious. But the crazy thing is, if they ever get on the phone, I know she's gone for like 2 hours. And no joke, she'll be gone for that long.
It's inevitable. But yeah, so what happened was Kingdom Come Fest rolls around, and I actually walk up to her merch table and I was like, hey, so I emailed you. And she's like, yeah, I remember you. She's like, so you're going to do it? And I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. We started doing lessons, and lessons ended up turning in from 1 hour sessions to like 3-4 hour conversations. And then we were like, okay. Then I was like, one day I was like, all right, cool. Let's move from the lessons. Let's do a feature. And we did a feature, and it was like, okay, cool. I was like, all right, let's do a music video. All right, cool. And we did a music video. Flew her out from Texas all the way to Tennessee. Well, technically to Indianapolis, and then I drove her to Tennessee. But and it was just a great time. Honestly, the relationship that we never knew that we were gonna have through this, it was just really cool how it kind of worked out, and it was all God. It was all God. Like I never really kind of imagined that was going to happen. So I honestly going into it, I was like, she's going to tell me I suck. Like, so, but she's helped me out a lot. We haven't had a session probably like a year and a half probably. But she's still doing it. So if you need vocal lessons, hit her up.
I'll tell you what, she did a great job because your vocals, Becca, are amazing. And Mary just joined the show this evening.
Hi, Mary.
Welcome, Mary.
Hello.
Great to have you with us. We're having a good time here tonight with Reclaim the Day on Raven's Heart. But Becca, your vocals are just amazing. I really enjoy listening to them. Mary says, looking amazing, reclaim the day. And Jermaine's like, I need those lessons.
Yeah, Jermaine, you're awesome.
Yes. Give Zana a call for vocal lessons. Maybe she could even do something for me. Who knows? Who knows what could happen?
I'm sure she could. She does a lot of good work. She's a lot better vocal coach than I am, that's for sure.
Let's talk about your name for a minute, because this is interesting. And I found something this morning that I'll share in scripture after you guys share about what this is all about. Reclaim the day. It really states your mission, and that is to reclaim things, to take them back. What is it exactly that you're reclaiming while you're proclaiming? How about that? Through your music. Yeah, little rhyme.
Babe, you want to take this one?
I suppose. Alrighty, so let's see. So honestly, it could be any number of things, but what we typically end up saying is we believe wholeheartedly that through the power of Jesus Christ, you have the ability through Jesus to reclaim your day from whatever you are going through. Mm-hmm. So if you find yourself in the midst of, hopeless depression, struggling with, lustful thoughts or drug addiction or like anything, any number of things you can be going against, God is still greater. So through the power of Jesus Christ, you can reclaim your day from whatever the enemy is trying to use to steal it from you. Mm-hmm. So if we can bring God's love into a situation and get them to recognize, hey, Jesus is here. Jesus loves me. Jesus helped me. Jesus will help reclaim my day. Yeah. So yeah.
That is so true. And Jermaine says that is so cool. He really likes that. I really appreciate that, because that's what this is all about. It's about Jesus, and it's about seeing people set free from those chains, not just from the chains of social anxiety or addictions, but seeing them completely, eternally set free, so that they can be born again. And this morning, I did my deep dive. Every time before I do one of these editions, I dive into scripture, and God showed me something. I was like, I can't believe what I'm looking at, but I can because it's in the Word.
Well, yeah.
I mean, it's right there. It's in Ephesians chapter 5, verses 14 through 16. And I want to encourage you with this tonight. Paul wrote, "Wherefore he saith, Awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Christ shall give thee light. See that ye walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming," also means reclaiming, "the time, because the days are evil." Boy, we are living in evil days today.
Yes,
there is no question about that. Then Paul gives us instruction on how we can reclaim the day. He says a couple things. The first thing is understanding what the will of the Lord is. I think you guys got that figured out. You know what God's will is in your life, and you're out there and you're doing it. The second thing is be not drunk with wine, but filled with the Spirit. Sorry, black box, off to the side, going to get filled with the Holy Ghost. Now, the third thing he says, speaking to yourselves in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in your heart to the Lord. That is specific instruction from Paul through scripture on how to reclaim the day. It's to make music unto the Lord. And that's exactly what you guys are doing. Isn't that cool?
Absolutely love it.
You're right in there with what the Word says, and boy, that's what we have to do today. Is we have to reclaim our days. We have to take things back, because time is getting short, and we don't want to waste that time. It's time to be free. And let's talk about freedom. Let's say there's somebody watching or listening, and they're struggling with maybe social anxiety, maybe suicidal thoughts of depression, or just anxiety, and maybe they've even thought that God has turned their back on them, or God's not listening to them, or they don't think that God is real. They feel alone in this. What is the first step that they can take to reclaim what has been stolen from them from Satan?
I'd say the first step is surrender. It goes back. I actually answered this question in an interview earlier this week. And the biggest thing for me, if you've heard my solo project, there's a song I have called Give Me Faith. And I wrote that song about basically, a point in my life where I had lost everything and I felt so alone. And I literally felt like giving up. Like I had nothing left to give. I was on the verge of pretty much killing myself. And so I knew at that moment, and as I lost everything, I was like, I was actually begging God to kill me. And so I was like, this is my last attempt, God. Like, this is my last attempt at being yours. And I was like, either that or just kill me. And so he basically told me, it's like, lift your hands, and surrender everything to me. You have so much you have so much that you don't realize that I have for you as a plan. And since I should have, without God, I honestly probably would have been 6 feet under. I would have been dead. But because of him, I have a wonderful husband, a little baby boy. I'm close with my family. I've been able to, be in Reclaim the Day, things like that. And he has given me chance after chance after chance, even though I've messed up so many times. But every single time, the same lesson seems to be surrender. Give everything to him, because we put him in control. I am one of the biggest people that are like, all right, God, I'll take this. It's like, I have to do this. I have to do it this way. I have to do it that way. And then he's like, no, 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 like, take this, like, give it to me. All right. And I find out sometimes I find out the hard way and learn my lesson. I'm like, all right, yeah, okay, I'm listening, God. But that's the biggest step. And the other thing is to reach out, get help, talk to somebody about it. The worst thing that you could do for yourself is hold on to it inside, let it fester, because the more that you dwell on those feelings, the more the enemy is going to try and break you and destroy you, because he is out to kill and destroy you. And steal, kill, and destroy. It's written right there in the Bible. And that's motive. All right. I mean, no, the enemy doesn't want you to go and be a follower of Christ. I mean, follower, not believer. There's a big difference between a believer and a follower.
It's true. Even the devil believes in God, but I mean, he's not exactly going to be in heaven with us. So
yeah. So, but that's what I'm saying, is that, surrender, and then reach out to somebody. Don't deal with it on your own. So that's my 2 cents. I don't know if the guys have anything, but
I do actually. I think something incredibly important to remind ourselves during those times where perhaps we're deeply struggling with something and perhaps feel very alone is that thankfully God's love and his presence is not dependent on how we feel. So even if we feel like we're alone or feel like he doesn't love us, that doesn't change anything. He still loved us enough and loves us enough to send his son to die for us. That's a lot deeper of a love than we're capable of understanding. And thankfully, if we remind ourselves of that, we can understand that even if we feel alone, that doesn't mean that he's not right there next to us. So if we can remember that and just trust him, just let go and say, I know you're there. I don't feel you. I feel alone, but I'm trusting you're there. Help me. He's faithful. Even when we don't feel it, he's still there. He's still present. We just have to believe and have faith.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And when I really believe that if you don't feel that he's there, maybe there's somebody that's watching that doesn't even believe in God, try him. Ask him.
Yep.
And you know what? He will show up. And Becca, something I want to go back to what you were saying. What I was picking up on there is that isolation is your worst enemy. A lot of times when we feel like we are, really down deep, the first thing we want to do is isolate ourselves. So I want you to reiterate what you're saying is that when we feel that isolation coming in, we need to take even just the smallest step to get out of that isolation. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Even if it's reaching out to like a friend or somebody, even if it's reaching out, messaging our page. We've had fans do that before. Like we've stayed after to talk to people that are struggling with very serious things, addictions and things like that, after shows, just to pray over them. Taking that first step is huge, even if it's a very small, but it's huge, honestly. And like I tell this to my students, even the smallest things, we can celebrate the small things, because honestly they are bigger. All right. So we want to step out of that isolation. When we do that, like that's huge for some people, especially for the introverted people, like that are like, all right, I don't really want to, I want to stay in my bubble. I don't want to talk to anybody, and that's I mean, that's especially like, going back to Chokehold, that's the reason, we had the song, because especially, basing off Logan's testimony. Logan can tell you, like, it was kind of funny because when he first started in the band, he was very, very shy. And, so he's probably the one that you can't get to shut up. It's probably, that's literally how it is. It's so true. But it's one of those things where, like, but it was a big step for him, going into a band. He wasn't used to, touring. He wasn't used to doing that. He took that big step, and we have times where, like, we open up to each other as a family about things. I'm very open with the guys when I'm struggling. When I try to be, sometimes I'm like, you have to get it out of me at some points, but it's one of those things where, like, isolation will only, like, that's exactly what the enemy wants. He doesn't want us to have our brothers and sisters in Christ with us, because that's strength in numbers. All right. Iron sharpens iron. And so with that being said, Logan, heard Jermaine's comment.
Like you said, with the iron sharpens iron thing, think about it. If you only have the knife but nothing to sharpen it with, it's gonna get dull. It's not gonna get better without something else there to help.
No, it's not. And Becca was just saying a few minutes ago that the Satan, the enemy, he seeks to kill, steal, and destroy. He's a 3-time felon, if you think of it that way. And criminals, the way they like to victimize people is they like to isolate them. So just think about that. And I really feel prompted to say this because Jermaine kind of helped me go back to this a minute ago. Something just really hit my spirit a few minutes ago when you were talking, Becca. And Jermaine wrote that he has a similar testimony. And I can guarantee you that nobody's alone. If you're feeling isolated, you are not alone. You are not the only person that's feeling isolated. There are other people here and feeling depressed and feeling like you're just in this all by yourself. We've all been there. And what we're talking about here tonight is not just, hey, let's just believe a cool set of principles about Jesus and go to church. We're talking about real freedom and real deliverance. This stuff is real. It's not like, hey, let's just get together and get people all jazzed up about Jesus. No. We've all been through these things, and that's why we're able to talk about them. Some of us in deeper, darker spots than others. And the testimonies of Reclaim Today, of these band members, they are real testimonies. And if you are feeling isolated, if you are feeling like you just want to end it all, reach out to them. Becca, how can somebody reach out to you? What is the best way for them to get in contact with you?
I'm pretty easy to find on Facebook. Just look for the blue hair. You can find my name on Facebook. You can find me. You can email the band, and I respond pretty quickly. At least I try to. I get a lot of people messaging me and things like that. It's very easy to get a hold of me. And that, like I said, I want to be there for our fans and for our supporters. That's the whole reason we're doing this. On a side note, though, I do want to bring this up because with Jermaine in the chat, I want to talk about Tricord for a second, because we did a show with them in Jacksonville on our tour in July. And I will have to say this, okay? What Jermaine didn't know is that I was actually struggling with anxiety that night before the show. On tours, a lot of things can happen. A lot of things can come at you, a lot of spirits, a lot of things. And so for some reason, that night it just got hit that it was almost it was very hard for me to even speak. And as a front woman, that's not good. Especially when you are not just singing and screaming, but you're also, you have to let the Lord give room for the Lord to speak through you on stage. And so when the enemy just tries to hit you. But when Tricord came up that night, and I remember this very, very, it was just like yesterday. They did Jermaine speaking, and then they did "You Won't Relent," which is absolutely one of my favorite. I think it was "You Won't." Was it "You
I think it
Won't"?
was. I think it was "Let It Rain."
Or "Let It Rain"? Sorry, it's
There you go.
Jesus.
Yep, that one.
Culture, right? I remember most of it. Okay, but "Let It Rain" was one of those that when I was a worship pastor, we did a lot, and it's a very powerful song, and I just remember the feeling of like peace that I felt when they were singing, and how it just basically I just became overwhelmed. Like I started crying while they were playing. So
you could feel their love for God. You could feel God's presence in the place. It was super cool.
Oh yeah.
Amazing.
So I just wanted to say, I felt led to say this to Jermaine if he's still watching, but I just want to say God's using you, man. Like God's using you so heavily and so mightily, even to us other bands, even when we're struggling. Like, tour is not an easy thing. All right, when you're going out on the road for a few weeks and like. You had everything come against a tour. Like our bus was not. It's still in the shop, by the way. And we had a lot of different things coming against that tour, and it was just constant anxiety, like getting from the next show, and things like that. It's really good to know that there are other bands out there that really are out there for God and not for themselves. And that's very common when a lot of bands are out there for themselves. It's unfortunate, but Jermaine's the real deal.
He is. I love Jermaine. We actually did a edition together 2 weeks ago where we broke down a music video, and he's worked with us with Lithos Cry now for several years, and he is just, I call him Bubbles. he just lightens up the room. Hey guys, we got to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. And I want to get to some more Reclaim the Day tracks. This is awesome conversation that we're having tonight. We'll be back in a flash.
Hey, I'm Jennifer Benson with the band Ignescent, and we're excited to be at the Hanahan Amphitheater on May 13th, 2023 for Get Revelation Rock Fest. See you there.
That's right. Get your tickets at lithoscry.com. And this is something that's going to be going on for many more years to come. And man, I'm really liking this band Reclaim the Day. We're going to have to talk sometime in the future about doing some stuff. So we just have to follow the Lord. We're just starting out with things. This is our third year. So as you know, as things build, it takes time. Yeah, it does. It really does. And go ahead and get your tickets at lithoscry.com for Get Revelation Rockfest. And hey, Sam Montgomery has joined us. Hey, Reclaim the Day. Great to see you on Lithos Cry.
Hi, Sam.
Yo, what's up, dude?
Sam, welcome to the live stream this evening. Hey, you guys have another track that I am just antsy to play. And it's called Don't Look Back. What is this song about?
Actually, it's about not looking back to your past. I originally wanted to write this song kind of based, like literally, it is very heavily based off of the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. But, but I honestly just lyrically, I was trying to find the words to kind of fit that in, but I just couldn't. So I use that kind of, when Lot's wife, it's like, hey, don't look back. She turns into a pillar of salt, But at the same time, you can kind of use that as not looking back to your past. I mean, you don't want to look back to your past because you're not the same person. We're dead to sin, alive in Christ, and so that's what this song is really about. We're not who we were, and so it's basically talking, from a perspective of us talking to our past. And it's not an easy road to overcome our past, because it always is fighting. Where it's like, the line, I'd be lying if I said it was easy. With the trauma, I will always be healing. It's a constant process of healing. So that's basically what it's about, as far as not looking back to our past and just, finding that healing and continuing on to be alive through Christ, and not alive in our own sin, and alive on who we were in the past. So
yeah, wow. And even Jesus said, don't look back, put your hand to the plow and look forward. And that's so important for us to do. And wow, thank you everybody for joining. We've got Tim with us, and he says, I've heard a few Reclaim the Day songs, but he's going to have to listen to you more.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.
This band is awesome. So, hey, let's listen to some more Reclaim the Day. Are we all in for that? This is Don't Look Back.
Scars remain inside. You think after all this time, my eyes would open up and see the voices in my head mess with my consciousness, asleep from the truth that sets me free.
That was epic. That was epic. I have to just share this real quick. When I was first saved back in like the Stone Age, the early '90s, the pastors were like, "Oh, you got to go and listen to this and go get some Christian music and everything like that." So I got some stuff, and I was like, "I don't like this. I didn't like it at all." I was like, "This is horrible." And I shied away from it for years and years and years and years. But what I'm hearing coming out of bands like yours today, every band that we've interviewed on this live stream over the past 4 years, I absolutely love it. I like it just as much as the stuff that you hear, a non-Christian band do. And I'm like, I even like it even more because of the message behind it and the heart behind it. It's just awesome. And that video, I gotta say this, that was amazing. And there's one scene in that video that I like the most, and I gotta bring it up on the screen. Here we go. We'll all be able. There we go. That's oh yeah.
That was delicious, by the way. It was great.
Man! So for those that are listening to us, we've got. It starts out with hash browns with a biscuit. Is that a biscuit?
It's a biscuit. So it's funny because we actually went to this specific restaurant is called Metro Diner, and this one was the original Metro Diner in Jacksonville, Florida. I actually work at when I'm not teaching private lessons, music lessons. I'm also on the weekends working as a waitress at a Metro Diner. So
it's so good.
That's why I was like, okay, let's go to the one in Jacksonville, which is the original one. I do have to say though, I'm a little bit I'm a little bit partial to my Metro, but
I mean, look at that stack of pancakes right there. I mean, that is just. Yeah. I mean, all of a sudden we've turned into the Food Network here. Anybody who's gone with me, traveled with me to concerts, and I've traveled to a good number of them, they will tell you when we wake up the next morning, still with partial hearing loss, it's like we're going to go get ourselves some pancakes. There's nothing Jermaine will probably agree with this. There's nothing like going to a Nightwish concert and then eating pancakes the next morning. And we're going to give you this. That's Amy, our studio mascot. You get her paw of approval, not just for the song, but for that spread on the there.
I gotta say, Jermaine would agree with me on this. After a concert, Whataburger.
Oh, Whataburger. Okay.
Yeah, we worked our way into a Whataburger after that show.
At midnight, and it was worth it.
Imagine about 30 people walking into a Whataburger after midnight inside the dining room. What those poor people were thinking. And all these people were dressed up for a rock show, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, what is about to happen?" I felt so bad.
They were so nice, though. Like honestly,
I walked up to them and I was like, "I am so sorry."
True story. There's an establishment in Tampa that my wife and I went to. And it was late at night. It was like one of the only things that was open. You know the way that it goes. And I just wanted a greasy burger and some fries after the show.
Oh, yeah.
And then several months later, I see on the news that like one of the guys that was one of the cooks there was arrested as a serial killer.
Oh, no.
I was like, Deb, we've been there.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. That's awful.
So here we've got some comments on the video and the food. We got smiles. Denny's anyone? No, that spread at Metro Diner looks way better than Denny's. And that spread is right down my road from Tim Hudson. And Tim also says, Becca, I am in love with your screams.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Your vocals are amazing. Zana did a really good job. And the thing is, too, you can go through all the lessons that you want, but if you don't have the innate talent or the gifting that God had given you, you can go through all the lessons and still never be able to do what you wanted to do. So you have definite gifting that's in there. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen over the next several years as the band grows and as you grow, Becca. It's just going to get better and better watching that. And speaking of that, in 2021, you were voted lead vocalist of the year by WVIU Web Radio. Did you ever imagine that?
No, I honestly never would have imagined
it. What was it like when you found out about that? What was going through your mind?
It was kind of crazy because when I saw the nomination, I was like, wait, what? Me? Because for me, like I'm not your typical, and I came to when I first started vocal lessons with Z, I came to her mainly just for my cleans because my screams I had already refined. I spent years refining. Okay. I knew what I was doing wrong. When I first started, I was doing what was called inhales, which are very, very bad for you.
I'm still doing those. I'm trying to work on that.
Yeah. I'm working with him on that. But I started them off because, like we had my very first band, we had lost our screamers, and I was like, okay, I'm going to take up screaming. And, you realize when you sing or scream, if you cough afterwards, it is a bad sign. So I already knew that, like, on stage after I would scream, I would like to turn around away from the crowd and just go, and come back. And I was like, I already knew it was bad, but I would do it anyway. And eventually, after years, like I just got used to doing inhales without actually like coughing and stuff, and I even knowing it was damaging my voice. Well, I actually eventually was going to the studio with one of my previous bands, and we were going to go record vocals, and which I kind of featured on their song, but I went ahead and did this as my first exhale track, and eventually I just kind of perfected my exhales from there. But then when I started going into for Z, it was more like I really needed to use my diaphragm better. My biggest thing was singing from my nose, because the biggest thing is, like, if you spend your whole life talking with your nose, you're gonna have a problem singing with your nose. Okay, so so I needed more control over my tone, and she really kind of helped me put a lot of different things in my perspective as far as singing wise and to my cleans, and things I never would have known had I not taken lessons with her. And now it's made me not only a better vocalist, but a better vocal coach to my students. And it's huge. And so I thank her for that. But when I got the award and the nomination, I was like, how? Because I don't sound like your typical female rock vocalist. I worked at that for years. Even when I started off, I didn't have that rasp. I didn't have a lot of the stuff that the characteristics to my voice that I started off with, because I worked at it.
She lacked a lot of confidence in her voice because it was very different. But honestly, the uniqueness is what makes them stand out, though. So if a person can own that and really make it their own, that's what will set them apart from other people. So I think it's super cool.
Yeah, and cool. So it was a huge blessing, and it really kind of like it opened my eyes to see, and not only that, but it kind of gave me encouragement to help my students that struggle, because almost every one of my students struggle with confidence, and just like I did, and and sometimes I still do occasionally, but like I was able to kind of use my testimony as more of an example. As far as, okay, I started from here where my own producer was telling my bandmates that I sucked, to now I'm getting lead vocalist of the year award. Like, you can do it too, and I'm able to tell my students and help them build their confidence as well. So it's a really cool thing.
That is cool. I apologize. We had a slight drop there for some reason. My computer wanted to tell me what the weather is outside right now, and I can really care less.
That's all right. That's all right.
We've been having fun tonight, and that's one of the things that I really enjoy about you guys. You're addressing very serious topics in your music and how to be released from those topics. But while you're addressing these topics, you're having fun. When you all get together as a band, do you feel a greater release and freedom of having fun with each other, being around each other? What's it like?
Usually ridiculous. Yeah, for sure. Like, definitely. It's just a lot of fun. We know that we're all there on the same page. We know that we are there to glorify God with what we're doing, and to hopefully bring some of His love and light into people's lives. And we're honored that we get to have a lot of fun while we do it. There's usually a lot of shenanigans and just goofing around, but we stay on track for the most part. And when we don't, Becca is sure to remind us to get back on track. So that.
I'm the mean lady. I'm the mom, I guess. I'd love to hear Logan's take on this.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. Logan, what is the most fun thing about being part of Reclaim the Day?
Well, Just the usual shenanigans we get into.
Probably just poking fun at
like
Becca.
that's one of them. And just the little fun little shenanigan things you see in like the Don't Look Back video. That's usually what it's like, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's really, that whole video for Don't Look Back is really a lot of fun to watch. It's almost the end of 2022. It's almost in the can. It's almost a wrap. We're rolling into 2023. What can we expect from Reclaim the Day in 2023?
Well, for right now, we are working on shooting a new music video. We'll be doing that in kind of like the early 2023 for our song Say Goodbye. And so be on the lookout for that when we get the chance to get that. Past that, we have a show coming up March 4th in Kokomo, Indiana. We're headlining and having a couple other bands come on board. I believe Crimson Overtone and Eyes of Flame both are going to be opening for us. Other than that, honestly, we're just kind of seeing how we're doing some booking for festivals and stuff. We're seeing how it goes. We had a really busy year this past year, really busy, and with the EP release and things, we're going to be doing a lot of writing.
We do already have, I think, about 3 songs that we've started working on. One of them is almost done. Needs to be professionally recorded, but it's getting there. It's close.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can expect new things and greater things in 2023 from Reclaim the Day. And Mary wants to say that I like how there's the weather forecast again. I like how it's the group effort with these guys. Everyone gets a say in what's produced. No one is lost along the way. So there's a lot of leadership that's going on there. Reclaim the Day. You guys are a tight band. There is absolutely no question about it. I look forward to having you guys on again with us and possibly doing some things in the future. And speaking about the future, unfortunately, we're going to have to close out. But guess what? We got a special edition of Raven's Heart from Lithoscribe coming up on Saturday night. Yes. So I'm going to be doing more than splish splash taking a bath all on a Saturday night over here. I'm going to be back online with our friends from Divine Martyr, also from Indiana. Yes, they just released a new music video, and I could not say no. They're like, Glenn, can we break this down on Raven's Heart? I was like, absolutely. So Saturday night at 8 o'clock, we're going to have a very special edition. We're bringing our friends back from Divine Martyr, and next week will be our last edition before Christmas. And I have a very special friend, Jennifer, and we're going to talk about the mysteries of Santa Claus. He might be something that we didn't realize. There's some things there that have gotten hidden and distorted. We're reclaiming Santa Claus is what we're doing. Everything's been twisted. This world just takes everything and twists everything. So I'm going to save that. You're going to have to tune in next Thursday night at 8 o'clock as my friend Jennifer comes on, and we're going to dive into some things that maybe you haven't thought about before and going back into some deep history, church history. How about that? Yeah. So join us for that, guys. Thank you so much. Hold on while I just close everything out here, and let me see. Let me get myself all the way up there. There we go. All these buttons tonight. Hey, until Saturday night when I'm back with Divine Martyr, everybody, thank you for joining us. And until then, peace out and rock on.
Lithoscry.com